plain clothes. You feel me? And say, hey, Coolio, how's your day going? Police, nigga.
In March 1992, while Mack Dre's reputation was spreading beyond the Bay Area, he traveled to Fresno with his friends and Romper Room members J Diggs and Kilo Kurt. They had a show there, and Mack Dre also wanted to see a woman he had met. Unbeknownst to them, the FBI was already tracking the Romper Room gang. A fourth man with them on the trip was a car thief named Corey Dunn. Corey Dunn had been flipped by the FBI and was wearing a wire during the trip. While Mack Dre was allegedly at a motel with his friend, J Diggs and Kilo Kurt were planning a bank robbery. The police intended to catch them in the act, but the local media heard about the planned operation over the police scanner and showed up prematurely at the bank, tipping off Kilo Kurt and J Diggs. The robbery was aborted. On their way back to Vallejo, Mack Dre, J Diggs, and Kilo Kurt were pulled over and surrounded by officers from both the Vallejo Police Department and the FBI. Mack Dre, who claimed he was completely innocent and was in the motel room the entire time, was arrested with them. Because he refused to snitch on his homies, he ended up getting charged with conspiracy to commit bank robbery. Despite believing he was innocent, he refused to take a plea deal and took the case to trial. During the trial, authorities used everything they had against him, including his controversial song lyrics, twisting them to suggest he intended to rob more banks.
Why is the police steady knocking at my door? 24/7, the devils be tripping. They say some banks was robbed and I fit the description, but that's drama. So save it for your mom.
For example, they reportedly used lyrics like, "I'ma laugh in your face, kick back and feel the bass," to argue he meant kick back and feel the banks. He was found guilty by a jury and sentenced to 5 years in Lompoc Federal Penitentiary.
Kick back and feel the banks. Yeah. Hey, shout out On Point Stories, man.
J Diggs and Kilo Kurt received longer sentences, 10 years, for being the alleged masterminds. Some fans felt Mack was unfairly targeted because he was a popular rapper who spoke out against police brutality. Years later, in 2010, Corey Dunn, the informant, was found deceased with multiple bullet wounds. It's unclear if his death was related to snitching, but it certainly could have put a target on his back. J Diggs would later label Dunn a rat. Prison changed Mack Dre, giving him a new perspective. When he got out, he didn't just go back to rapping. He created a whole new sound, a whole movement. But would this new wave of success also bring unexpected dangers? Those years behind bars, they changed Mack Dre, giving him a new perspective on life. When he was released in 1996, after serving 4 years of his sentence, he immediately dove back into music. He reportedly hit the studio the very day he got out and finished a new album within weeks. He didn't just go back to rapping, he switched up his style. His delivery became more upbeat, almost like dance music. He also brought a new energy to his performances, introducing wild dance moves. This new sound and style were foundational to what would later explode as the hyphy movement in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I think people was getting hyphy before the hyphy movement kicked off, but Dre for surely kicked it off.
Mack Dre embraced his independence, founding his own record label, initially called Romp Records, later renamed Thiz Entertainment. He was incredibly productive, releasing numerous albums and working on others' projects, sharing his vision to help talented artists. He wasn't just focusing on the local scene. This was a business for him now, and he understood the value of live shows to build fans in new markets. One market that particularly embraced Mack Dre was Kansas City, Missouri. Word spread about his fan base there, and he started booking shows and connecting with local artists. He first traveled there in 1999 and found the reception incredible, feeling treated presidential, and even hearing he was considered bigger than artists like P. Diddy there. He started going back more and more, building relationships to the point where Kansas City became almost like his second home. By 2004, Mack Dre was a Bay Area hip-hop pioneer, an underground icon, and had cultivated a loyal fan base far from home, especially in Kansas City. This connection would lead him back to the city in late October 2004. But this time, the trip to his second home would end not with roaring crowds and dizzle dances, but with violence on a dark highway. He arrived in Kansas City ready for the weekend. It was Halloween weekend 2004, and Mack Dre was booked for a few shows at the Kansas City National Guard Armory. He was set to perform alongside other Bay Area artists like Yuckmouth and Keek da Sneak. The promoter, Damon Whitmill, had agreed to pay Mack Dre around $12,500 for 2 events. Mack Dre and his entourage arrived in the city on October 27th. He was scheduled for promotional appearances, including a radio show and a record signing at a local bookstore. According to the promoter, Damon, Mack Dre showed up with a large crew, over 20 people, and was often late for his obligations, which caused issues and disappointment. The first big show was on Friday, October 29th. The promoter claimed Mack Dre was late again, resulting in extra costs to keep the venue open longer. The situation reportedly got worse when Mack Dre's large entourage, over 20 people, rushed the stage, causing fans to follow suit. This crowd surge led to the music being cut off multiple times for security reasons until the show was eventually shut down. Other artists like Keek da Sneak and
The promoter should have already knew that that's what type of energy was going to come with booking a nigga like Dre. I don't know.
Yuckmouth felt a negative vibe and tension at the show. They decided to leave Kansas City after performing and arranging for their payment to be wired later. Despite this, Mack Dre stayed to fulfill his commitments for the weekend. Regardless of the details of the argument, Mack Dre left the venue in a white van to return to his hotel. According to one source, who picked up Mack Dre earlier, Mack Dre mentioned not feeling safe due to the disorganization of the events. Around 2:30 a.m. on the early morning of November 1st, 2004, the white van was traveling northbound on Highway 71. Suddenly, a dark sedan pulled up alongside the driver's side. Upwards of 30 shots were fired from 2 different guns, an automatic rifle and a .45 caliber pistol. The sedan also rammed.
See, what I don't get is if he say he wasn't feeling safe, why they didn't take like proper precautions or measures.
The driver's side of the van, causing it to lose control and crash into a ditch. The driver of the van managed to crawl from the wreckage and ran to a nearby hotel to call for help. By the time police and first responders arrived at the scene, it was around 3:30 a.m., an hour after the incident. Mack Dre was found motionless. It was immediately obvious that he did not die from the crash. He was pronounced dead at the scene from a bullet wound to the back of his neck. Mack Dre's death sent shockwaves through the Bay Area and the hip-hop community. Everyone was desperate to know who was responsible. With their legend gone, the Bay Area wanted answers. The investigation would uncover suspects, informants, and theories, but would justice ever truly be served? Almost immediately, rumors began circulating, pointing fingers at Kansas City rapper Anthony Fat Tone Watkins. While police did investigate Fat Tone due to these rumors, they found zero evidence tying him to Mack Dre's murder. Fat Tone himself denied any involvement. Tragically, just a few months later, Fat Tone was murdered in Las Vegas.
Some on the street are wondering, is it revenge for the murder of a West Coast rapper here?
And it's crazy. The niggas who probably did it probably threw Fat Tone name out there just to throw everybody off. Shit end up getting him killed, bruh.
Good evening, everyone. That murder last fall in Kansas City is still unsolved.
Now a Kansas City rapper named Fat Tone is killed in Las Vegas. Peggy Bright is live at Kansas City Police Headquarters with the story. Peggy?
Kelly, police here knew him as Anthony Watkins. But in the world of hip-hop, he was known as Fat Tone, a 24-year-old rapper who, for sometimes reasons that he did not want, made a name for himself both locally and nationally. But after the murder of Mack Dre, Fat Tone's name began circulating in hip-hop magazines and websites as a possible suspect. Kansas City police followed the sites, but never considered Watkins more than a person of interest. Now Fat Tone is murdered while visiting Vegas. The 2 murders, months apart, have similarities.
Mack Dre was found in a car, shot to death. The car wrecked, went off the highway, and essentially the same thing happened to Fat Tone.
Activist Alonzo Washington wrote commentaries for hip-hop magazines after Dre's murder. He was concerned that the rumors would generate more violence, and now it has.
When you have an equation of violent music, people with a violent background, and rumors, it can ultimately add up to a real-life homicide, and that's something that we all should try to prevent.
Now, Fat Tone was shot in Kansas City a year and a half ago when he was leaving an interview at a local radio station. He survived that. Las Vegas police are still looking into
Man, that's crazy, bro. Rest in peace, Fat Tone.
the motive for this shooting. Another man was killed as well. We're live at police headquarters. Back to you in the...
Andre, Mac Minister, Dow, and Jason Mathis were later convicted of his murder. The motive was believed by some to be retaliation for Mack Dre's death, fueled by the persistent rumors, even though Mack Dre's own friends stated Fat Tone was innocent.
Murder. He actually called me when he was still in Las Vegas on his way out. He was gathering some stuff so that he can go. He called me and told me that he had to leave. He couldn't talk, he had to leave. And I'm like, where do you have to go? And he's like, I'm coming out to the Bay Area. I'm finna get me an apartment and stuff out there, and I need to leave out here real fast. And I'm like, well, what's going on, Jason? And by the way that he was talking, I can tell that it was something that he had done. So I'm like, he asked me, can he come to my house? Then he wanted to spend time with his son. Can he come to my house and try to get more acquainted with little Jake, seeing that he was in some trouble out in Las Vegas. And I told him no, because I didn't know what was going on. And then we had spoke a little, a longer, probably like an hour and 2 hours in code. He was trying to tell me what was going on and what he had done, but he wasn't trying to get into details of what had exactly happened.
Tell me how he was talking to you in code. What was he saying?
Okay, he was like, yeah, it was a concert out here tonight, and you heard what happened to them niggas that did that to Mack Dre. I'm like, who are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, we can't speak on what happened. I mean, who they are or whatever. We can't speak on their names or whatever. We can talk more in person when I get to the Bay Area.
Before lives without the possibility of parole.
Dow was convicted in 2008 for a double murder in Las Vegas in 2005.
Sam went back, and I think I remember watching this shit, bruh. Told her everything, bruh.
The victims, Kansas City rappers Anthony Watkins, known as Fat Tone, and Jermaine Atkins, known as Cowboy.
I don't know who killed Fat Tone.
How did they end up murdered in your girlfriend's car?
I don't have no answer for that.
I just want to make a record. He testified against my client in trial. I know.
As attorney Robert DeMarco argues for Dow's freedom, the 8 News Now investigators have been following closely. One major development, this witness who testified against Dow now says he lied.
It's been under conscience and you deeply regret making the false testimony and statements against Mr. Dow, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Lateef Gray, please.
A former San Francisco prosecutor who knew Dow growing up heard him proclaiming his innocence on a podcast and decided to look into the case. Do you believe he's 100% innocent?
I do. Based on this evidence, I do.
Lateef Gray says he uncovered information about witness Antoine Mouton, a convicted pimp with a lengthy criminal history. Records show when he claims he was in Las Vegas and Dow made incriminating statements to him, he was actually in custody in Georgia.
Do you believe that the police and the prosecutors had all of this information and hid it? Or what are you saying?
They definitely had it.
Sometime prior to that December 5th.
Clark County Chief Deputy District Attorney Mark DiGiacomo mentioned a date during Dow's murder trial in reference to that supposed conversation between Dow and Mouton in Las Vegas. But again, Mouton was locked up in Georgia. DiGiacomo now on the stand himself admitting to what he calls a mistake.
You said December 5th in the deposition, correct?
And I should have said December 05.
Still, he continues to defend the murder conviction.
I have the phone records and the 911 call establishing the timeline.
In 2004, Bay Area rapper Mack Dre was killed in Kansas City. There were rumors, which police said were false, that Fat Tone...
It sounded like they was making all kind of... Israel coming back to me. I remember this shit. They was making all kind of mistakes. And it's crazy how, bruh, he credible, but he, ain't credible at the same time. But if they want him to be, that's how it's gonna be, bro. They playing dirty. Hid evidence and some more shit.
Did it. Dow claims he didn't think so. In 2005, he invited Fat Tone to Las Vegas to meet Snoop Dogg. Dow is seen leaving a casino with Fat Tone and Cowboy. He claims they went their separate ways.
I don't know where they went, but he said he has some business to handle
The bodies of Fat Tone and Cowboy found near a construction site. A car, which prosecutors argue was connected to the scene, found torched in California 2 days later. Police also pointed to Dow's link to his co-defendant Jason Mathis and a woman who was found murdered in California later that year before Dow was in custody.
You cannot point to any specific evidence that points to Mr. Dow committing the murder of Miss Larson in California, correct?
Well, I think that if I were to try him in this courtroom, I'd convict him every day of the week.
Dow was on America's Most Wanted, and then
saying they trying to insinuate my nigga serial killer, bruh. This shit crazy.
Arrested.
If he didn't pull the trigger, he's just as guilty as the person that did pull the trigger.
Lamont Williams, also known as Marlo Boss, is Fat Tone's cousin.
He's most definitely behind it. So, yes, most definitely. I said it 1,000 times. I said it in his face 1,000 times.
After hearing from both sides,
this is totally a travesty of justice.
Meanwhile, the official investigation into Mack Dre's murder continued, identifying potential suspects like the promoter Damon Whitmill and a man known as identified as Calbert. Damon reportedly refused to provide a DNA sample. Informants linked Damon to ordering the hit and Calbert to being one of the shooters. The stolen black Infiniti, believed to be the getaway car, was found with evidence like bullet holes and white paint matching the van. Calbert was identified as driving this car, and years later was also murdered in a similar manner. Despite these leads and informant testimonies, no one was ever formally charged or convicted for the murder of Mack Dre. While the question of who killed him remained unanswered, Mack Dre's music and legacy would only continue to grow, solidifying his status as a true pioneer of the Bay Area sound.
There's a quote, I think Nas was the original writer of this quote, but it's been sampled by Biggie and Jay-Z. They say, sometimes the rap game reminds me of the crack game.
Somehow the rap game reminds me of...
Man, bro, rest in peace, Dre, bro. This shit crazy, fool. I thought they was, I had thought they had stumbled across the person who did it, or Damon didn't want to give a DNA sample, nigga. But it's because they could try to frame you with other shit. That don't mean he did it, bro. But, I do slightly, vaguely remember some of this shit that we went over in this segment. It's crazy. I think I seen somebody else that's supposed to be coming out with a documentary, and they supposed to be really coming out with some details about the real shit, exposing basically who did it and shit like that. But this was pretty detailed, on point. Shout out On Point Stories. Y'all make sure y'all go tap in. I'm going to have a link like I said. But, yeah, man, it's a trip. I'm going to have to look into what's going on with Mac Minister. As you know, he been tapping in, but he ain't tapped in recently. We're going to have to see what's going on with him.
Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Ay, I need that cheese like a grater, ho. Don't play me like no sin, cause I never Captain Saber, ho. Yeah, but you can fucking be my waiter, ho. Long as you get paper, ho, cause shit, that's what the paper's for. Y'all niggas chasing dough, but what we racing for? But we ain't racing, we just don't know how to make it slow. Know how to make it grow. Sell a bitch the game. You gotta charge a bitch hard, it just ain't the same. My young nigga, he insane, he'll yank your brain. You wanna sit up and complain, I want the finer things. I told that bitch to make it shake, they gon' make it rain. We get the money by the hundreds, cause it ain't a thing. You a funny nigga, hun, that's just how you was made. If she listen up to me, then we is getting paid. Nigga thinking he is pimping, you was getting played. All this faking going on, it's like we in charade. Say ho, say ho, playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, I can't playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho. Say ho, you can't be playing with that paper, ho. Nigga need that yaper, need it now and not later, ho.